He's the big man himself.
We're live.
Hello.
How's things?
We're all good.
Yes. Can you hear me okay? Yeah.
Yeah. Normally, the person that will always be on time is actually late. And the guy that always moans about being late, like the amount of times he told me about being late, and he's 6 minutes late. For saying that, I was
there
myself.
He's probably eating stirring his cream of rice or something.
Probably that guy
fucked it up. It's not the right consistency. We go again.
To be fair, I mean, in prep, I would do that. I would throw it away happily.
God, yeah.
Off season, I'm not too worried about it actually. Khifee, I was just actually watching your full day of eating, mate, and the food that you eat, I tell you, it's impressive. I mean, you probably put it away quite easily. Like at the moment, my food's about 4,500 calories, and like some days I have days where I'm just like, I cannot be fat. Like today, I got really, really early. I normally get up early anyway, and it's 8 o'clock now, and I've finished all my meals. I put 4,500 calories away, and I don't need to think about eating till tomorrow morning. I've got to that point. It's just.
So is that you literally? You'll be fine now. What time do you usually go to bed at?
About 10.
That's not too bad.
10, yeah. So I like. Do you find that you fall asleep better with more food in you, or like let's say you've left it 2 hours?
I think if I left it 2 hours, I would get hungry again. So I'm probably like, I think I need to have something, just maybe, even if it's like, I don't know, like maybe like a small kind of snackish thing before, just to kind of have that clarification that I'm a wee bit fuller, and then I'll be okay, and then I can go to bed. But I always have to watch for water, because I'm up pissing the whole night, and it's so like, it's just awful.
How much water do you drink?
Between kind of 4 and 5 liters. Yeah. But then again, that's like I'll drink that, and then obviously I'll have stuff like my intra and like basic and stuff like that. That's out with, and obviously basic I'll have before bed and that, and then obviously shakes as well. So I don't really count what goes into them, as in like protein shakes and that. So
yeah, I mean, for me, I always have to start drinking. Like I have 1.5 liters, probably 3 liters by midday, and then the rest of the day I'm sort of just sipping on it, because after I train, for some reason, like in the evening time, I just forget to drink. And in the mornings, I always think about drinking, but I never drink in the evenings for some reason. I just totally forget about it. So yeah, I try and polish it off early in the day, and it sort of stops me from pissing throughout the night. Anyway, Khifee, I wanted to just say, I saw your photos earlier. Those front relax that you uploaded. Impressive.
Thank you, mate. Thank you.
How much are you weighing now?
I can't believe how body composition is as well.
Yeah.
I'm weighing
like you ain't fat at all.
Just like trying to just kind of keep myself remembering that. Do you know what I mean? Because obviously, like, you know how it is, especially straight after competition, the second like a bit of body fat goes on, you're like, fucking hell, man. You start getting, oh shit, like you just lose everything.
Anything.
I've just tried to I don't know. I've just tried to kind of keep my body composition more so in check than anything else, and make sure that everyone's been okay. But that's been like, I post every single day, so I feel as if that's helped me stay a little bit harder, especially throughout the off season. As much as obviously I'm putting in food, I'm doing like around the posing every single night. So it's like, that's the kind of pre-bedtime routine I'm forever doing, like around the posing. So I feel as if that's helped me stay.
That's interesting, because people will always say like measuring, insulin sensitivity, keeping cardio in, but posing, not heard that one before.
Every single night, pre-bed, I'll do one round. I've got like my specific one round that I'll do of obviously all your like symmetry round, and obviously the muscularity round, and it's helped me stay. I feel as if after every off season, I have been able to stay leaner, just from an experience perspective of just dieting and then moving into an off season. Not necessarily from not doing extra, like giving out extra calories. I've been able to stay lean. I've been able to just stay lean from that. But this off season especially, I've kept them posing throughout the full off season, and I don't think I can go to bed now without doing a round. So it's just, again, once it comes back around to prep as well, it will help me, because I won't be like blown out my arse whenever I'm doing like rounds and rounds and rounds of posing to practice. But it's just, and I know as well, like going into next year, I'm not going to be competing against anybody that doesn't know how to pose. Everybody's going to be fucking like really polished, and everybody knows how to pose. So I need to make sure that I'm fully up to scratch with that as well. Like I can't go out and be like, all right, this is his first kind of main year in the pro division. I want to go there and fucking, like, my goal is to make a mark. Do you know what I mean? I want to show that I should be there. So
posing it genuinely is so important. That's one of the main like bits of feedback that I got from PCA as to why I didn't win my show. was I didn't do the PCA posing. I did a few like IFBB. So like for men's bodybuilding, there's not really a difference. But for females, like there's a stark difference. And I remember I got off stage at finals. I went and spoke to a couple of judges, and they went, "You were just too IFBB." And it was hard to take, but it's like, you know, doing something slightly different could have got you an extra like placing.
Because Khifee, this is the longest you've actually had off, thinking about it, like in terms of off season. I can't remember, since I've been following you, I can't remember the last time you actually had a full year off of not competing.
Nah.
This probably feels a little bit weird for you spending, not obviously it's not crazy long. I'm sure it's a piece of piss for you. Don't even think about it. But sure, being like, how many pounds would you say you're over stage weight now?
Yeah, well, now I was 86 kilo on stage. Now we're around kind of between 103 and 105. So that's 40, that'll be what? 14, 15, 16, around 18, 19 kilo above stage weight. I'm not sure what that is in pounds, but
that's
you're looking at about 40.
Yeah, there's something kind of like that. And this is the heaviest I've ever been as well. This is like, last year I was able to take my off season up until like kind of 98, 99 kilo, and then I would really fluctuate there. I would stay there, and then I would come down, and then I would go back up, and then I would go down, just like maybe 1 or 2 pounds. But you would always notice it would never stay.
Are you okay for me to share the photos?
Yeah, go for it, back on.
Just because people would want to. So this is when did you take this today? Yesterday? Or
this was last night. That was last night after shoulders.
Fucking crazy.
When you were pushing up this time round, did you like, has it been linear sort of gaining every single week, or have you pushed up, held, and then pushed up again?
Yeah, so basically we pushed up as far as possible, and then whenever all the stuff was happening, whenever things like the Arnold's and FitX and all that started happening, obviously I was having to travel a lot more. So what we done then was basically pulled back to not maintenance, but just over maintenance, which allowed me to hold my body weight more than anything. And I never had to force food, basically. Not that I have to force food now, but I never had to worry about constantly, right, I need to eat now, right, I need to eat now, right, I need to eat now, like the kind of routine that I'm in. Whereas then I was like, right, I can eat this amount of food and keep my weight and keep my performance up more than anything else. It was really just to maintain a good level of performance whilst traveling so much. So
yeah, the car crash didn't help, did it?
I mean, I just competed. If there's one thing, right, if there's one thing that I made sure that I got out of that, was I made sure that I got all my food out of the car, and I made sure that I got all my supplements out of the car, and then they took the car.
I remember speaking to you at the expo. The thing is, you said to me, "I'll be in a car crash." I was like, "What are you doing here?" And I was like, "My car's fucked."
That's what I said.
Afterwards. I was like, "How are you going to get home?" He was like, "Oh, think about it later." I was thinking, this guy fucking nuts.
It was yeah, that was something. It was just, oh god.
You get that all sorted?
Yeah, got it all sorted kind of a week or two. Whenever I got back, they promised me a courtesy car and everything. I got fuck all just because of my age, basically. And it was going to cost far too much money for them to give me one, so they ended up not giving me one. So basically what happened was they were going to pay my travel every single day for whatever I needed travel for, taxis and shit like that, but I never used any. We just walked everywhere. So
that's fucking crazy. It was 16 minutes late.
Yeah, it was mine. Am I the only one whose Instagram's fucked or what?
No. Oh, right, it's Instagram.
I messaged the group saying, "Are we still on?"
To be fair, I have been checking the group to see if you put anything in there.
5-2 I messaged, yeah.
Yeah.
I've got no message off you, I'm afraid.
See?
No.
I've got no messages in the group chat.
See,
Like-
it's fact.
I put a link in there, so I don't know what happened there.
Well, yeah, I got the link.
Yeah,
but
I
then
think-
that was it.
Yeah, I sent a link through. I don't know what happened there.
I've
Anyway,
been sat here like a twat for 20 minutes.
Jack, how's things, mate?
You're looking very tanned, mate.
It's definitely the light. I've got a little light switch here, wherever it may be. Oh, fuck,
No,
here
you're
we
making
go.
me
There you
feel
go.
pale.
Don't I must admit, like in the summertime, I was using the Sunbeds because I quite like being tan. Even my prep, like I just like having it just makes me feel better, especially as I've been in off season now for 2 years. It'll be like 2.5 years in total. It does, after a while, it does get to you in that sense, because I don't look at my physique, and sometimes I look at my physique and go, really, like, is this what I look like? Sometimes, like, I put a lot of effort in, I dedicate my whole life to it. So these little things like Sunbeds, even just like I get a haircut every Friday. Every Friday I get a haircut. It's stupid. I spend £20 a week on haircuts and nearly £20 on Sunbeds a week as well. But it makes me feel better about myself. I feel more confident. I feel better in my own skin. And yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't know what I look like without a
You
tan,
can't
because,
take your money to the grave, you know.
yeah, it's just, people do message me about it not a fair bit, but they do say, aren't you scared about Sunbeds, this and that? And not really. Like, as long as you are safe with it, just like anything, like walking across the road, make sure
Oh,
you look
God,
both
yeah.
directions.
Mate, I've been smashing them since I was 15. Don't stress about it.
Yeah, I just look after you. You look after your skin, Jack.
One thing about tans, actually, like a big thing that I found competing this year. So if you're ever gonna do like a show and use Pro Tan, from what I've found, if you're pale to begin with, the regular amount of coats, don't do it. Like, I stepped on stage next to these people, like these women who'd obviously been using like nasal sprays, Sunbeds, and I just looked pale as anything compared to them. So like, getting a base tan, I think, like, really, really helps your skin. What do you do, Khifee? Because no offense, but you're quite pale.
I like, well,
What
I mean,
doesn't he do?
see, it's mad weird. I don't do anything. Like, I've never been in a sunbed in my life or anything like that. I used to get like spray tans and that when I done the wrestling, like for shows and stuff, just to have it lasting. But I've never been on sunbeds or anything. And whenever it comes to like show days, I've only ever used the dark ass tan, like with the BMBF. And usually what we do is we do one coat the night before, and then a full coat the night before, a full coat the next morning. And that's been me. That's literally been it. But
That's so dark that you don't need any base tan, because
I was
that's
literally
gonna
about to say
cover it.
that.
Like,
It's the darkest tan I've
Aye.
ever put on in my life.
it is. But now, like, I don't do anything else. Like, I don't think
at the moment.
What's that? Sorry.
How long, Jack? Because you use Sunbeds, don't you? A bit.
yeah.
How long do you go?
How long do I go on for?
Yeah.
12 on average, just 12.
Yeah.
Like, I could go on for longer, but like my parents don't know. I think it would be fairly obvious if I was smashing 15 every week.
100%. I mean, I think the biggest thing I learned actually about skincare is actually exfoliating. Like, I never used to exfoliate my skin. Like, actually getting a sponge and a bit of soap and just literally, even just on a day-to-day basis, not necessarily just tanning and stuff like that, but just looking after your skin a little bit more, because you don't realize how much fucking dead skin you build up on your face and behind your ears. And that eventually, when you do get spray tans and things like that, it does show. Like, I even remember looking at myself and I was like, my skin's fucked from just not looking after it. So now I put even more effort into not exfoliate every single day, but just here and there.
I've genuinely seen like a cosmetic difference just in like how physique looks in check-ins when I've taken skincare more seriously. It's like one of them tiny little things, but you may as well do it.
Yeah, 100%. Right, Jack, how's things been going? Because I've been obviously we speak on a daily basis, so I kind of know what's been going on. But what's been happening, mate? Like, I've been seeing you with a smile on your face a lot more often recently. Do you want to talk about it a little bit?
Well, this girl was pestering on Instagram for a while. So I kind of, no, I tell you what, we've been going back and forth for a while. Probably like over a year now, to be honest. And then I don't know what it was, a few weeks ago. I was up. I think we might have had a viewing, George. I think we had a viewing, and then I'd organised to go and see her that evening, and then we got on really well. And then ever since, we've just been meeting up a few more times and stuff, and I get on really well with her. So Jack Thorbur's back in the relationship game after a what?
So it's official then.
Well,
Okay.
when
Nah.
are you releasing this? You're pretty rapid on the release, so you might get this done tomorrow.
Well, it depends on when you ask her, mate.
Well, we are, but it's one of those, like, you know, when you're a kid and you're not official until you're Facebook official kind of thing.
Yes.
It's one of them. So, like, we are, but it's just does it require me to say to her, like, what are we? Because I'm of the age where, like, you actually need to ask, but you kind of need to. But if you're not releasing this until a few days, I'm going to see her on the weekend, and I'm just going to ask her on the weekend. So, yeah.
You know,
don't owe me.
happy.
I ain't about that.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I'm happy for you, Jack, because on that note, you know, I know you're very much like me, and that's why me and you get along so well in terms of like routine and our days. And for me, like I'm very selfish with my time as well, and I feel like anything outside of sort of my usual routine isn't contributing towards my goal.
Yeah.
So I kind of feel like that, but at the same time, and then I need to realize, like, there is more to life than just bodybuilding as well. Like, you can go out and enjoy yourself, especially when you're in the phase that you're in now.
Yeah.
You can go slightly off plan and
I've done 4 years straight, like 4 years straight of, if anything is going against bodybuilding, I don't do it. Like, and that's everything. And I've done that for 4 years straight now. And it's, you know, even if I go out for day trips and stuff like that, or go out for meals and stuff, like, I don't miss anything. You know, I take all my meals. I don't miss training. You know, it's just, so I can do all these things and it's still not going to take away from bodybuilding. If anything, I might have to admit that I was wrong in the fact that psychologically it potentially has improved my sort of day to day, and then that's also improved my training ultimately as well, because the past few weeks my training has been a lot better. And is that just a complete coincidence that she's happened to be in my life at the same time? I don't know. So
I think, based upon just me obviously spending time with you, and I even said this to you in person, and I know you know this, is maybe because you've actually got your mind a little bit more occupied on other things.
Yeah.
Because at the moment, all the time, when you sit in the car and tell me, oh, my hip feels a little bit tight, or I'm thinking about this, immediately you're thinking about that, and you're going into your session and you're already thinking about it. So chances are, when you're warming up, you're going to feel whatever you're feeling. But one thing I've just noticed is probably because your mind's occupied, that you haven't even thought about that sort of pain, that injury, whatever's. So I think there is definitely a psychological. I'm not saying that there's no problems, because I know there is. I see it in my own eyes. But at the same time, like, I sometimes feel like that sort of overwhelming sensation in your head where you think about that even before going to training, I think sort of affects things. So it's, I think
it's definitely been a distraction, but a good distraction at that. It's definitely done me the work. Like, I can feel it already in the past, like, 3-4 weeks, just going into training in a lot better headspace. And that how I go into training is the whole session, basically. Like, once I get going, normally I'm fine. But if I go in with a bad mindset, I struggle to get going, and that's everything, really.
100%. Well, I'm buzzing about that, mate. I really am. Khifee, you still got plans moving? I know you're obviously in the UK or England at the moment. Are you moving further down?
Yeah, well, plans anyways. We're here until start of the new year anyway. So I mean, realistically, we've only got a month. I don't know. There's just been so much, like, fucking stuff happening, and traveling other ways and traveling the opposite way, and obviously going back to Scotland that a couple of times, and still, like, in the process now looking. So obviously now's realistically the time where we are just fucking it's all go now kind of thing. But that's still the plans anyway. So it'll just be a case of when, really. But don't know what's happening. We're here until, like, back end of January, so it's really just now moving for equipment more than anything else. Because don't get me wrong, like, the gym that I train at now is really good, and it's got what I need. And realistically, that was the kind of one of the main reasons that I moved in the first place for. And it's good, like environment wise and that as well. It's got everything that I need, but it's just not it. And here's not it. And there's so much other pieces of kit that I would really, really, really like to have that I just don't have, or I have, and it's just very, very, very hard and sore and things. Especially like leg equipment. Leg equipment's just a very big necessary for me, and right now I just don't have what I need.
Remember that old hack you used to use at a leisure centre?
Yeah, it's just
with John Meadows lookalike spotting you.
Yeah, he was actually training, like, well, not training with me, but pretty much training me on the weekend there. So it was quite a throwback.
To be fair, he gave you a shit ton of motivation. Like, he was pushing you. So even though I'm not taking the piss, but he does look like John Meadows. I'm trying to find the video. To find it.
He was like, it was, to be fair, like that's where my trainings definitely came from. That's where my approaches always came from, because that's what I would always get, drop sets and different like intensifiers thrown in at the very last second that he would only tell me on like the very last second, and I was like, I had to go with it because I was that fucked.
So you never knew what was coming. You just pull them out of a hat.
Pretty
like
much,
yeah.
Set. Yeah. He decided the drops. I was like, right, what we're going. Like, I'd have my headphones in for like the first part of the set that was going to take like 10 minutes, and I had my headphones in for like fucking 20 seconds, and I was having to take them out because I never knew what was happening. So I was like, I was just having, but it was good. Like, it was good. It was really good. And I would never, like, I loved it. So it was good though. It was good, obviously, getting back. I was back in Scotland for a couple of days there, and we done a session again, so it was good.
Unreal.
George, your complexion looks that good. It looks like you got one of those filters on off Instagram.
Really?
You know, with the
Bahamas.
I must admit, I was in the gym, and a girl actually gave me a compliment about my skin and that, and she was asking what I did. So I was like, it's all natural.
Did you say I'll show you around my house?
I can't be doing that. Like, Jesus Christ. But no, actually, I was trying to find a video of him, but actually, whilst you was talking about that, I was trying to scroll back to see if I can find Mr. John Meadows here, but I don't think I can. Did you ever use post photo videos?
Probably, yeah. I'm sure there was also like a full workout on YouTube. There was like a full leg session or something like that on YouTube, but it's like way back. I'm not sure what was on Insta. Most of the stuff was on my story, I think.
Yeah, I'm trying. Yeah, because I always remember seeing him on your stories, but I can't remember seeing him on your posts at the moment. That's annoying. I really wanted to show John Meadows lookalike. Yeah, he was fucking great. Oh, here he is. So basically, let me share the screen.
What's it on?
It's this. I've actually scrolled fucking far, mate. Like, this is back in 2019.
Oh yeah.
Here he is. This is John Meadows. 240 for a set of 4, mate.
Do you get to see him? Oh, there's John.
Oh,
he does
my
look
God,
like
it is.
Same structure as John Meadows. I remember watching this. I even liked it. As you see, like 1,400 views. You'd get that in an hour. How much can you do 240 now for in terms of squat?
I done 240 for 12 a couple of weeks ago.
12. Jesus.
Fucking crazy.
But like, it was, to be fair, after that set was obviously 240 for 4, but I'm sure if I can remember right, it was dropped to 200 and then it was dropped to 140 straight after it. Ooh. And obviously, because I'd wrapped up as well, so by the time I even got to 140, like, I wanted to take my wraps off, but because it was going that quick as well, my legs had like lost fucking circulation because the wraps were on so tight.
I've never been a big fan of wraps myself, because I always find that they just cut my circulation. I always get really tight calves from doing them.
Yeah.
To the point where I couldn't actually walk on my right leg because my calf was so fucking tight. I think it was my sciatica nerve that was causing that.
Probably.
I was like, yeah, let's not do that again.
No, like I would always, like, I would tend to always kind of use them on the very, very, very top set. So if I got to like 260, I would put them on, but I've not put them on in like maybe a month now. I think it's maybe been like the last kind of 2 or 3 leg sessions. I'm just like, my goals kind of switched across to try and get really fucking strong in sleeves. Like, a lot of people have kind of commented of whether I'm going to do like a meet or anything like that, just because obviously I've switched to just sleeves alone, but it's not like that. things just change, and like I just want to get really fucking strong in sleeves. Do you know what I mean? And it's just that's really kind of changed. I'm not saying I'll never go back to wraps. I will definitely go back to wraps because I do feel as if they do give me an extra few reps whenever I need them or whenever I want to take them, and that's just really the way that training's always been. But the thought, my thought process of taking like a 280 squat or something like that in sleeves, because I know that it's obviously, to me anyway, like I don't really give a fuck what anybody else thinks, but to me it's a little bit more impressive than doing a 280 wrapped up. So
Yeah.
Do you not think that there's potential you might get a bit more sort of quad stimulus without the wraps, especially sort of around the knee area?
Yeah,
Because I think like if you're able to do the same weight in sleeves as opposed to wraps, you're bound to be getting more out of it.
yeah, probably, yeah.
Because if you think about it, they're just acting like a slick, like almost like a spring
Yeah,
to a degree.
yeah.
So
Definitely. But I just like I'll probably get to the point again where I'll just go back and forth. But usually I would always do like a top in wraps, and then any sort of back offs would be just into sleeves, and then heavy leg presses and stuff and would always be sleeved up if I felt I needed it. But like that's one of the other things as well. Like there's been a couple of machines and that's just really, really, really bad in the knees, and it's totally putting me off using them because I'm getting to the point where like my knees are starting to just play up a little bit more, and I'm going 3 and 4 and 5 days after training legs and my knees are still giving me shit, and it's just like, I don't know, it's just
that's another reason for you to be getting to better gyms, isn't it?
yeah, that's
because like I know some of the old kit is really good, but some of it, especially in terms of like leg pieces, sort of angles on it and stuff, can quite often be harsh on the knees. So you go into more sort of newer pieces of kit that are designed slightly better would only benefit you with that.
it's just like it's pretty much mostly just leg kit. That's really it. Like, and don't get me wrong, everything else is pretty much just done like free weights, but there's always them machines that I'm just more so used to using over anything else, and I've just kind of got to that point now where like now I've got access to things like a pendulum and stuff like that, but they're just very fucking awkward, and it's just they're so hard in the joints, and like realistically at 23 I don't want fuck joints, and as much as my training's heavy and things like that, and down the line that's going to happen, and I know that right now I don't want that. So
I've used that pendulum that you've used. It's it's fucking just.
What is it?
the primal strength one.
That's the one. Yeah, I've never really had it.
Primal.
Have you posted on your?
Was that a little then, Caitlin? Oh, primal.
I think it's because I've had access to such good kit now. Like, I reckon if I'd have started training and gone to a gym that was full of primal, I'd have been like, oh, this is brilliant. But you level up every single time. Like, it's just not the same at all.
You train.
That's the problem, isn't it?
Once
you use certain bits of kit that's like top of the range, you really struggle then to go on anything else but that.
Yeah.
I was just looking, Caitlin. You using, where is it? This is.
That is old school. That's from
this
like
looks old school as
60s.
fuck. Is it? It's actually got like a rail, hasn't it? It's got like the rail bit there.
Yeah. It's like the Cybex.
I was going to say that it looks similar to it.
Yeah.
Like if you don't get it up, that is falling. Like you're getting crushed. But because I'm so short, I'm actually all right.
Yeah, there's no stops here, is there?
No safeties. No.
There's no safety
Nothing.
stops. It's just if you fail, you literally fail. Yeah, that's considering how much more it needs to go down. You're going to be squashed in there. But no, honestly, on that note, training is impressive. What was you doing? 150 for a set 7?
Yeah, but it's not quite impressive because you see them little pads.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
I mean, this is.
Oh yes.
Oh yes.
Someone commented on AJ's post saying, I thought you were training with what's that name? You know that dog that goes, oh yes.
Churchill.
What's it called?
Yeah.
Churchill.
Churchill, not in dog.
Yeah.
I proper get into into everyone's sets though.
You do realise that's going to be a meme now, Caitlin?
Yeah.
So what's the plan with these pools at the moment? Where are we looking to take it? Obviously, I'm guessing 4 plates aside is the ultimate goal.
4 plates would be lovely. So most I've ever done before once was 160 for 5. And then that we got to that point and then it just stalled. And then I ran an RDL up, ran that for a while, and then went back to conventionals. And then whilst I was doing conventionals, I was getting ready for my show. So we took them out when things started to get a little bit too dangerous. But now we've added in this pull with the slight block just because for the past 8 weeks, body fat hadn't come up as quick as we would have imagined it to. So literally just from a like sort of safety perspective, we made sure that pulling from that block was going to be, just keeping me that little bit safer. But now we're at a body fat threshold where I feel really good, like actually good. I think at the beginning, I told myself, I feel amazing. That post show where you've got food in you, you think, oh yeah, I'm sorted. But it wasn't until now that I actually feel back to normal again, and we can sort of take it that extra inch deeper and be able to do just like a normal stiff leg.
Yeah, unreal, impressive. How do you on that note, I just want to ask you, how do you get along with this sort of pendulum? Because I don't know actually. I don't actually know what pendulum this is.
He's getting rid of it though.
I don't think it's branded.
No, it's not. He's getting rid of it though.
I don't like it.
Oh.
I don't like it.
They've got the other one coming in, haven't they? Is it a Paramount one?
Well, the Paramount one. That's one that like John Jewett posts and stuff like that. So I don't mind it. I top band it, which actually makes it better. If you've ever used it, you'll know that when you lock out, it sort of shakes. Like it's not completely stable the whole way. So we top band it, so it's sort of a lot more consistent throughout the whole like movement. But yeah, I've got to admit, like compared to something like the Atlantis, it's not as good. So I'm very excited to use the Paramount one.
Yeah. I've never seen, I've used it and I'm like, I can't remember seeing or using this sort of pendulum before. I don't like the drop off at the bottom. I think it's quite like first half of it is good. Then the second half is just a little bit, I don't know. I banned it as well if I ever use it, but yeah.
Definitely. Have you been running the Atlantis one?
Yeah, I use the Atlantis one. So I basically, actually, did I post it? No, I didn't post it. So I use the Atlantis one, which Khifie, have you used that before? I think you have.
Yeah, I've used that Atlantis one before. They've got I've trained a few times down in Durham, and they've got I'm sure it's that Atlantis one there. It's like probably the nicest pendulum that I've ever used.
Yeah, it's really smooth.
But then again, you've not used something like the Paramount.
Yeah.
Like how many pendulums have you actually used?
Yeah, I used one. I trained abroad years ago now, like 2 or 3, probably even 4 years ago. It was like one of my first or second preps. I can remember using one there, but I can't for the life of me remember what it was. But realistically, like even when I last used the Atlantis one was fucking ages ago. Because I kind of went towards more so like the Cybex hack and that whenever I go to Durham, because they've got like the Mark 1 and that, and it's just there was more so things like that. Or if I went a couple of times, then I would maybe rotate between that and the pendulum or something like that but realistically I would like to get access to things like that every leg session. I don't just want access to it once in a while whenever I travel somewhere. Do you know what I mean?
You tried the Mark II Cybex? I've
never tried it.
Has anyone tried it?
Yeah, they've got it at Mark II is the one at Rotherham, isn't it?
Yeah, Rotherham's the Mark II one, isn't it?
Yeah.
I find that the Mark I is actually smoother and lighter than the Mark II.
Yeah, I agree.
By a mile.
I prefer the Mark I myself. I use that more than the Mark II. But no, honestly, I think the other one I've used well is the Watson. What is going on there?
What, Watson hack?
Oh yeah,
Uh,
Watson hat.
No, the pendulum. sorry.
Pendulum. Oh yeah,
The
I use that
pendulum
one.
is like, I just couldn't move over.
That's what you call a patella injury waiting
Yeah.
to happen. That is
Yeah.
disgusting.
I remember when I used to train at a gym over in Northampton, and the owner was like, "Oh, I'm bringing in the pendulum." I'm like, "Okay, what pendulum is it?" Watson. I just
Rolled your eyes.
I was like, no. Everyone was so happy about like this new kit, because obviously the pendulum squat itself hasn't been around for crazy long. It wasn't around when I didn't see him in gyms when I first started training 6 years ago. And when he brought it in, he was like, "Oh, I'm bringing the pendulum," and I was like, "No, this is not. It's not good. It's not good." And I didn't use it because I think the most I loaded on that once was like 40 kilos, and that was just like enough. And that's not even a lot on that. Should we answer some questions, because I got quite a fair few amount of questions on Instagram, which was great. I should have really got this up before I actually started. Some people came up because I was wondering, what should I call this podcast? And I still don't know off the top of my head. I just don't know. Some people get nut in the game. That was the most popular one, but I still don't know what to call it. What do you reckon? Anyone?
To be fair, not in the game's you're very much like, everybody very much catches on to that from
You've already established that as well.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So
Been around for years, isn't it? Yeah.
like, probably makes sense to go for something like that. I would say that anyway.
Worst thing you've ate on your preps, Caitlin?
I've never done anything other than like I assume by that they mean like diet hacks.
Yeah.
Have you for me, the worst thing I've done is I've had 150 gram of oats. I put 2 teaspoons of baking powder in it, and I've filled it up with a kilo of water. Fucking crazy.
What, so you tried to volumize 150 grams of oats?
Yes.
That's enough as it is.
I've got a massive bowl downstairs. It's like a cake mixing bowl. That's what I use for it. I still got it.
Did it blow up or what?
It used to spill over. It's like a big bowl. It used to just spill over. Amount of times I had to restart it. So yeah, I used to do weird. That was probably the worst thing I used to, because I wonder why my stomach was fucked.
No, honestly, like I'm not saying this to try and sound like hardcore or cool. I've just always just eaten or done exactly what has been on. Like, I've not done the whole cucumber and fucking stevia shite. The jelly as well. Like, I don't get that. I don't know if it's just me, but I could not step on stage and know that I've done that.
Yeah, that's one thing I don't get. Like, the jellies aren't on their diet, but they still have them.
It's like you wouldn't have an extra 10 grams of cereal. So,
but you can have a jelly.
Are you on about the 10 cal jellies?
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to have a few of those on my prep, and I don't know why.
Would you again?
I used to have like 1, and then what I used to do is I used to have like 4 in one day, just because I had such a sweet tooth for it. And
that's the problem. If you have 1,
yeah,
I'd want more. It'd be worse to have 1 than not have them at all.
Yeah, so I think for me next year especially, like, I just want a meal. I mean, I ate the same meals pretty much throughout the whole entire prep, but I just want a meal plan where I keep it boring, bland, dry. That's what I've done this off season. Like, when I tell you, I don't put any butter on my bread at all, toast, or my bagels. I don't salt and pepper anything, very rarely. I don't season my chicken. I don't even use ketchup on top of my food. I just keep it boring and bland. And people ask me, like, it's a bit boring, isn't it? I'm just like, it's just the same. Like, I've got used to it now. So if I can do that in this phase, I probably could do it in my contest prep and have no problems at all with doing it. But it's just when you get that sort of hunger signal that I haven't had for a few years now creep in, it's like, okay, I start doing some weird shit. So hopefully not anyway. No, I won't. I'll be more disciplined this time around.
What I used to do, I can't remember whether this was pre-bodybuilding or not. Remember the Walden Farms stuff?
Yeah.
They used to do a coffee creamer, and I used to pour legit like a third of their bottle into each cup of coffee, and I'd go through like a bottle in 2 days, and I can't, because it would taste like a chocolate coffee if I had it, and I was like, oh, it's no calories, it's fine, and I'd pour it in, but they cost like £3, so I was paying like 20 quid a week on coffee creamer.
What was your digestion like?
I was ages ago, but from what I remember, it was fine. Like, so I don't know.
Thing is, I bet your body was just used to it.
Yeah.
I was doing that much, but then I went completely cold turkey off all that, and I never touch any of those like 0-calorie stuff or low-calorie stuff now. Really,
You don't drink any fizzy drinks at all, do you?
no. I know that's very boring, but I never do any like water. That's it. So when I have a pre-workout, that's like my treat because it's a bit of flavour.
Yeah.
So.
Wow, fuck.
Khifee, what have you done, mate? You must have done something a little bit weird.
Like, nah. But then again, moving at my off season, like I don't have the attitude if I don't give a fuck, but I will eat in my off season. I will eat what I want to eat. But throughout prep, like I get a meal plan, and it's just oats, sweet potato, and chicken, and that's literally it. White potato post workout, but that's it. Like that's me for 5-6 months out of the year. So I don't really get an opportunity to. I would only really get an opportunity to maybe volumize something, but I don't really get an opportunity to kind of make anything like a little bit nicer. I mean, realistically, post workout is like chicken and a plate of chips. Do you know what I mean? Because obviously all my potatoes are fried. So when I get white potato post workout, it's like just chips. Do you know what I mean? But even at that, I don't season my potatoes or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? So nothing.
What about looking at the question from another angle and asking like, because the question was kind of what was the weirdest things you've ate on prep?
Yeah, what weirdest things you've ate on prep.
Yeah, so was there ever a meal that you had in your plan that was awful? Maybe in like the last few weeks leading into a show? Because I remember I've done a week straight of whitefish and asparagus every meal for a week. I've done that. I've done dry cereal because I didn't want any water to dry out.
To dry you out, yeah.
Yeah, I've done that.
I don't actually know.
The problem is we're coming to the sort of age now where people aren't that stupid and like all that bro stuff's kind of getting debunked. So no one's doing any of that stupid shit anymore.
No, I personally don't think I've done anything like that myself.
My food really just stays the same all the way up until like I'll obviously when I move into like the week before the show, like I'll have my depletion days and that, and literally all of my carbs will get took. But then the second that 3 or 4 days out or the show comes, like I'm kilos and kilos and kilos of carbs going in, like potatoes going in. So nothing ever changes. That's literally the only food choices that I've got, or like food choices that I've got throughout the whole prep, really. Do you know what I mean? I was quite miffed at the very start when I got rice took out, because I always thought that I could diet on rice, and I enjoyed rice, but then rice and eggs and stuff got took out, and like Vicky just gave me my plan, and I was like, fuck, this is going to be fucking hard. And then it was just a case of, oh well, I better do it. So I do it, and it paid off.
What's the lowest everyone's calories been in a diet?
I'm gonna say mine will have been the lowest due to the fact that I probably weigh about 40-50 pounds less. I think this time round got down to 800 on a rest day, but I was 100 pounds.
How did you split that up? Like 4 200-calorie meals, was that?
So meal 1 was scoop of whey and 5 grams of peanut butter.
I'd rather have just not had it.
Oh yeah.
Then and then next 3 meals were 100 grams of chicken or 100 grams of 2% turkey mince and 5 grams of sesame oil. And then final meal was a repeat of meal 1. That was good, yeah.
Did it bring you to tears measuring out that 5 grams of peanut butter?
You know what? It didn't. I think at that point, you know, when you've just got no emotion,
just switched off
at all. Yeah. Like I think that was the difference this year. I actually realized what it feels like to be lean, because I've never been there before. Obviously, all 3 of you, you know, you've fucking been there, and you get to a point where just everything's autonomous. Like there's no thinking involved at all.
You kind of have to get to that phase though, because otherwise if you do have feelings towards things, that's when you get like the binge inside of it and stuff.
Yeah, it almost
Because-
sounds weird, but I thrived off being fucked.
Yeah.
Like I craved the whole prep. I was like, look, I want a stupid diet face because I feel like that's a sign of condition. I want to like feel actually like I've got 20 kilo plates on my ankles. And when that finally came, it was like, right, okay, this is it. And I think I don't know if that sounds sadistic, but setting goals like that definitely helped me.
Same here. I think we all agree that the condition that we bring, I think we all love that suffering aspect of it. I 100%, I was like, I want to suffer. I don't care what I need to do. I will do it to get to that goal. And I think you got to have a very weird, abnormal mindset compared to sort of normal people, if you want to call it that, to do that sort of thing. I got to a point where I was like, especially when it was cooking my food, living at home, and I didn't want anyone around me. If anyone was trying to distract me cooking my food or even want to talk to me whilst I was eating, I would flip. I was awful. But, you know, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. And if people understand that, which at first my parents were a little bit like, what is he doing? Why is he being like this? But once they came to the shows and started seeing what it was all about, then it became a bit more clear to them. But yeah, I mean, to do what you need to do, it just requires that suffering aspect 100%. What's your lowest you've been on, Jack? I'm sure you've been low in the past, that's for sure.
I bet he's pushed it.
Nah, 2,300, I think.
It's not too
But
bad.
at the same time, I was working in retail at the time, and this was before the whole Fitbit phase. So I didn't know my step count, and I've got a feeling that it was in the 30Ks, I reckon, because I was on my feet all day, and I worked like fairly hard. I was working with a lot of dossers that didn't do any work, so I had to carry a lot of them. So I think I was like, my step count probably was around 30K, and at the time I was doing 30 minutes on the stairs in intervals every day as well. So my expenditure probably was through the roof, and I was training like an idiot as well, like drop set everything. So
that's why the calories don't sound like stupid low.
No, but like,
in
but
fact,
let's be honest.
it
So
actually was.
I was eating that amount, but I can tell you now, I felt more fucked than anyone else would have. Do you know what I mean? So that it's all
Oh, yeah.
relative. Like that's when
Oh, God,
people
yeah.
comparing their calories, it doesn't really matter, because
No.
if you have a metabolism that's ridiculously fast, or if your expenditure's through the roof, you can be in more of a deficit than someone that's eating less than you. You know?
Yeah, well, my 800 calories that was probably at the beginning of the season when I was just going into grafters and where I just was not in shape at that point. And then I was probably on about 2,000 by the PCA shows, and like that was when it was just like, right, this is hard now. But you know, food was a lot higher, so I should feel better. No. Yeah. It's not how it works, is it?
Keith, how about you, sir?
Genuinely, like the lowest I've ever been that I know I've ever been was down when I was on like 0 carbs back in 2018. So I was on like fucking, I think it was something like 1,100, 1,200 calories. That was 0 carbs, but obviously now I don't know how, like last year, for example, I don't know how low I got. I just kind of get my plan and just don't ask any questions, really.
That's what I love about you. You just fucking get the plan, just do it, and don't fucking moan. That's the best way of doing it, man.
That's just the kind of way it's been, and I don't know. Just get it, like literally get it sent through and make it, and then eat it, and just move on. I've never ever asked, and it's always a fucking question that I get is either how low my foods went or what my macros have been on prep, and I've honestly not got a fucking Scooby.
This isn't at you, Khifee, all right? This isn't at you. This
This
is something that boils me. Like, someone will put a question box up and someone will ask them, like, what are your macros? And they'll reply, I don't know, I follow a meal plan. It's like, fucking hell, mate, it would take you 5 minutes tops to enter it into MyFitnessPal once, and then you could tell them. It's like, just do it. But
yeah,
I think it would fuck my head up more.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, some people, if they don't know what they're eating, it's not an issue. Whereas if they knew they were eating less, maybe it would.
Yeah, because like if I was like, fuck, I've had fucking 100 grams of carbs took off me and I'm only eating this amount of carbs now, I'd probably like realistically I probably wouldn't let it affect me, but like psychologically it probably would always be there, and I would be like, yeah, do you know what I mean? So
yeah,
I would be like, fuck that, it's going down and going down and going down. My energy's going down. I'm feeling like this, I'm feeling like that. Like I would never be one to really complain or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? Like I was doing last year, especially, I was doing fucking crazy hours, like PT and that. Starts were like 5 o'clock and finishes were like 10 at night. And that was like the very, very, very back end of the season when shows kept getting cancelled. And I never realized at the time, but obviously I did put myself in an absolute hole with just the amount of hours and that, and still having to train and things like that. But I think as well, because of me not knowing how much I was eating and all of that kind of stuff, I just got on with it. Do you know what I mean? I was like, right, I'm suffering because I'm getting lean. I'm not suffering because I'm eating less food and stuff like that. So I just kind of tried to just move on with it. But I don't know. It's never really been like a kind of interest or anything, but
that's what I like about you a lot. I think the lowest I've got was, believe it or not, I think it was 2,300 on my prep, I'm gonna guess. For someone who was
40,000 steps.
Yeah, on that note, I wasn't doing that amount. Like it was between 10 and 15,000 quite easily. I was doing. But it was just
you were prescribed that.
Seriously, the steps wasn't a problem. It was the cardio, which was the big issue for me. You know, like I swear, if you go on a matrix or matrix, whatever they call it, at Pure Gym Stairmaster, put it up to level 13 and do that try and do that for as long as you can. I did that for 30 minutes straight. And I don't know, I look back now, I don't know why I did that. You know, why was I doing that amount of cardio? I was just wanting to suffer more. And if AJ told me not to do it, my head would be spinning, you know, because it became such a part of my routine. Even when I took Yahimbi now, I was like, what the fuck? My heart rate is not elevated like it was before, because I'm so used to having that high from Yahimbi that when I started doing it, I was like, right, I need to up the intensity on the Stairmaster now because I'm not burning as many calories. So it's a terrible relationship with it. But yeah, I must admit my expenditure was fucking high. So I'd admit it's probably not true representation. It'll be interesting to see where I land next year, because I won't be doing obviously tons of cardio like I was doing before. Hopefully not. I haven't done cardio since then. Not gonna lie, it kind of put me off doing cardio for the past like 2.5 years now. But yeah, it will be interesting to see kind of where that sort of falls now that I probably won't be doing as much. Would I be lower? Would it be around the same? Because I need quite a lot of food at the moment to even push my body weight. Considering I'm only 183 pounds at the moment, I'm like 4,500 calories. Some days 4,700 calories. You know, I do 10,000 steps a day because just simply for the dog. So yeah, it will be interesting to kind of see how it falls. And I'm hoping just me spending this time eating like I have been will help during my prep in terms of being able, because it did last time, you know, I was eating about 4,000 calories last time. So I'm hoping that will kind of help when I do go into next year, touch wood. But either way, I'm willing to do whatever. It doesn't bother me at all. Where was this question? Some of the difficulties, you guys all right for time?
Yeah.
Some of the difficulties in life that you've overcame. How fucking deep is that?
Car crash.
Yes. Yeah, I remember you showed me. I remember you showing me the picture. I was like, "Fucking hell, mate!" Was it with a lorry? How did that actually happen again?
So basically, I was going I was in the second lane, and the lorry was obviously in the first lane. I was basically going past it, and it had kind of swerved and hit the back of my car. Then I ended up in front of it, and then underneath it. So.
Fuck. Yeah, that's scary, man. Especially a lorry. Like I get scared when I'm like squashed in the middle between lorries. Even going past, like there's a lorry one side, or maybe there's not enough room and I go past lorries, shit myself.
Yeah.
Jack, what about you? Anything you've overcame?
Well, so you said, how deep do you want to go?
The deepest.
Yeah,
nah. You know, there's always like adversity with like injuries and stuff like that. Getting over that. Don't know. Like it's like you said, doing it. Like, how deep do you really want to go on a podcast?
Well, how deep do you want to go?
Not that deep.
All right. Well, we'll just.
No. So, for example, like Okay, coming off prep in 2017, the sort of niggles I kind of still have now were like fairly bad, to the extent where in 2018 my training was pretty shit. I was still doing everything to the T, like no missed meals, never missed a session, this, that, and the other. But I looked pretty poor considering. So obviously mentally that was a big struggle. Kind of still going to the gym, still doing everything I could, still eating all my meals, whereas it didn't reflect in my physique at all. Like to some people, it probably didn't even look like I trained. Yeah, I still didn't miss a T. So, you know, going through that period, but in my head, I knew that if I did all that instead of just thinking, oh, fuck it, I'm not going to bother, which is how I felt at the time, I knew if I did that, then I'd have a lot more to get back. Because ultimately I knew I was going to get over it, but I knew that if I carried on going, even if I didn't feel like I was getting anything from it, I knew I'd be a lot closer to getting back there once things started to roll again. So that's probably, without going deep into things, that's sort of my pitch.
We appreciate it.
Caitlin, you're a young pup. How much have you been through yet?
Initially I thought I haven't been through nothing. But I did actually used to have a really bad relationship with food, and to be fair, I don't really talk about it that much. I think I used to a little bit more, but it was never like, you know, prescribed by a doctor or anything. But we're talking like every single calorie would be inputted on like MyFitnessPal sort of thing, and you know, for the week I'd say to my mum, right, what are we having for dinner, which would be the family meal that we would have to eat together. You know, when you're younger, you do eat. And if that changed, like, you know, one of the food sources would change, I'd literally get like nervous sweats, like thinking that it'd be slightly more calories or whatever. So I did used to have a really, really fucking bad relationship with food. And I think a lot of people get into the gym and stuff from that, but like having that routine and structure of bodybuilding just like sorted me out straight away. So I guess that's probably the biggest thing that I overcome. And to be fair, I'm glad that I did it on my own rather than like seeking help from someone else, because I don't think I would have been able to do it. Like them forcing me to eat more, I would not have been able to do that there and then. Like doing it my own way has worked, and you know, I preferred it that way for sure.
I didn't actually know that. I did actually know that.
Yeah.
And that is a massive sort of taboo topic in bodybuilding now. Really, like I think it's probably even worse these days than it was, say, 10 years ago.
Oh God, yeah.
You know, I think
there's so many people that are getting into bodybuilding for the wrong reasons.
That's the point. That's exactly what I was getting onto.
Yeah.
So because of the whole, I know it's not everyone's. It's not because like, but bodybuilding's become fairly fashionable, or in terms of just the fitness industry has become fashionable. So people do a show just for sort of likes on Instagram, you know. And then once that happens, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. You don't really love it, and then that's where quite a lot of these issues, you know, arise from. Then, and you've got people that have done one show, and then they even like quit going to the gym at all because they hate it. You know, and I think that's where certain things come.
That post-show phase is dangerous with the wrong people.
Yeah.
Like so dangerous, because it's harder than the prep itself, and they're counting down, you know, I'm 1 week out from my show, 5 days out from my show. That's the show done, but you've got another 8 to 12 weeks of prep if you want to take it seriously after that. Yeah, you know, like that's what I sort of think anyway.
I honestly I agree on that. I think with me, like I did stupid like a 10,000 calorie challenge after my prep. Like this was like a couple of weeks after, and my mind wanted to eat the food, but my stomach actually shrunk just through obviously getting smaller, leaner, not eating as much food, that I actually couldn't put away. I've done 10,000 calories when I was at uni quite easily, but I just couldn't put away that sort of food, and I ended up throwing half of it up because I was fucked from it, and I was just like, what am I? That was when you kind of have red alarm bells and think, what the fuck am I doing here? Just like puking up food post show because I can't hold back. yeah, it's definitely, I think the post-show phase is definitely harder than the actual prep itself, especially that sort of 8 to 10 weeks where you're sort of adapted into that sort of new lifestyle, if you want to call it that. I'd probably say the hardest thing that I've came over, probably the dogs. If you remember dogs, that was probably one of the toughest things. But saying that, you know, I wouldn't have Diesel, you know, that was a previous relationship now. You know, I wouldn't have Diesel, I wouldn't be in the position I'm in. So, I mean, I think everything happened for a reason, but no, that was, that was, I'm not going to dive into that too much, but that was quite bad.
We could all see.
Yeah. Top 3 cereals. Khifee, you're the cereal.
Oh, Khifee, you're the fucking cereal monster.
What was you having the other day? The white chocolate
melts, yeah. They're Weetabix. They're like brand new from Weetabix. They're white chocolate. They've got like milk chocolate and white chocolate ones. Milk chocolate ones are okay, but milk chocolate's too. Milk chocolate. Everything's fucking milk chocolate. Like, I don't know. I'm a sucker for white chocolate. I would have white chocolate everything. So they're up there. I don't think they beat Frosties, but they are very much close second.
Do they trump OG pillows?
I don't think nothing will trump OG pillows, but I know that they're never going to bring them back, so they can just fucking take a Bible for now. But Frosties, chocolate melts, Cocoa Pops, rocks. It's got to be rocks. The normal Cocoa Pops are shit. I could never eat them again in my life. So they're the top 3.
I mean, I don't eat. The only cereal I eat right now is Rice Krispies, so it's boring as fuck. But I'd probably say the Weetabix minis, the chocolate. Is that the use the white chocolate ones, Khifee? I use
no. There's actual you can actually get like the actual Weetabix minis. I think there's Weetabix minis and there's the chocolate melts. So the melts are like the ones with like the milk chocolate or white chocolate inside it, but the Weetabix minis I think are literally just tiny harder versions of actual Weetabix. I know what ones you're going on about. They are actually...
they're my favorite.
Yeah, I used to rate them.
Second, I'd probably say I like Frosties. I love Frosties. Love a bowl of Frosties.
So basic.
Yeah, I noticed that I'm quite basic. And then I'd probably say, you know what? I'd probably say Rice Krispies. I do like Rice Krispies.
Get out of here.
Can't be classic.
Get out of here.
What? There's nothing wrong with them.
Basically like rice with milk.
Yeah, lovely. I sometimes put it on my story, and people think it's basically I use the Yummy Sports caramel biscuit icelet, and it's actually really nice, by the way. And I use it with water. I don't use milk. I just keep it just water, to keep it basic. And people think that I just pour water into my cereal, because I obviously show that much of it is like obviously water, but it's with the protein, and then the whole bowl's like this. They just think I pour water in it. I'm like, how fucking dumb do you think I am? Do you think I just decide to put water in it and then eat it like that? So yeah, I'd say those are my top 3. It's a bit boring though, I must admit. Kaylin?
Controversial one. Crunchy Nut Clusters. Is that cereal?
Oh, you nicked them.
Because they are unreal.
They're my number 1.
They are really good. They are, especially the chocolate ones. They are fucking.
But they just don't have any utility in that post-workout window because of the fat.
It's a lot of calories.
Yeah, fuck me. Like, I could do a 10,000 calorie challenge just with them.
Just on those.
Pretty sure I used them for like one of the meals in the calorie challenge, because a box is like 2,000 or 3,000 calories.
I did the exact same, believe it or not. Exact same.
And then we've got to go with like Crave, and then probably just Cocoa Pops because I have them that often.
This one's a bit controversial. I'm sure this will get a bit of a stick, this one. Thoughts on natural bodybuilders wasting their life by being too dedicated?
Are they alluding to someone who does absolutely everything and still makes no progress, or that's just simply the question?
I can kind of see the argument. Like I can. You know, if you enjoy what you get out of bodybuilding, you're not wasting your life, are you? Because it's what you enjoy. Like I could.
I hate these. I hate these questions because it doesn't affect anyone else what you do whatsoever.
I 100% agree. Like,
is it a blank profile as well?
no, it's not. It's not.
Is it someone that's enhanced?
No, I couldn't. Profile pic. No.
They're not.
No. I mean, I get what he's saying sometimes, because even, for example, let's say I went to the Arnold's this year and I meal prepped all my meals. I brought it all in a zip up bag with me, prepared to the T, nailed, not missing a single beat.
Yeah.
I get the fact that a guy who potentially is assisted, maybe a bit half-hearted with his nutrition, might go there and might go to NutriFast. Next minute, he might go to that donut section, which looked amazing, by the way. And he'd probably still eat all that shit and still make more progress than me. And bodybuilding is, unfortunately, those sort of 1%. But like you said, Jack, like, if you enjoy doing that, it gives a shit. Like, this is what the thing I hate about sort of showcasing your life, and especially you probably get this a lot, Jack, with like, oh, you have the same routine every single day, saying this, saying that. And even people message me about you and are you sure you want to live with Jack? Are you sure you want to move in with Jack because he's very routine and stuff like that? I'm like, I don't give a fuck. He enjoys his life. I enjoy what I do. We are very similar in that sense. And if anything, I need that shit when I prep next year, and you need that shit next year. So it's people, I mean,
I think the angle of the question is more on the lines of, because they're a natural bodybuilder, they're never going to get to like impressive physique standards. So it's like, what are they wasting their time for? But then it's the same. You could ask the same question to all these people that run gear that aren't going to do fucking shit. Like, if anything, that's worse, because you're compromising your. I know natural bodybuilding to the extreme isn't healthy, but then you've got all these people that are enhanced that aren't going anywhere, and they're doing, which is, potentially one of the reasons why I haven't gone down that route, because if I was to, I'd want to be going to, the big dance, and probably not going to happen. So, like, yes, we may never reach truly impressive sort of physique standards, but a lot of these people that are running aren't going to do that either. And so
I agree. I totally agree. Yeah. Well, that answered it.
But to tag along with what Caitlin said, who the fuck cares? If we enjoy it, like, what is it to you?
Top 3 IFBB pros. Current, I guess it didn't say current or I'm guessing.
I'm just going to put it out there straight away. I cannot wait for Mark Hector to come down.
Yeah. As soon as I saw him join up with Callum, I got excited, because it's just one of the things where you have a genetic elite combined with all the sort of technicalities. So you see all these pros training like donkeys, and like their nutrition's average, etc. And then now you've got this guy who's like, his genetics are unbelievable, and then you're combining that with all the knowledge and sort of application of Callum, So I agree with you on that. It's very exciting.
For people that don't know who that is, because I sometimes forget that people, we're talking here and people actually don't know who we're talking about, but this is the guy we're on about.
He's not competed relatively. He's not competed.
What's his recent update?
Go on the most muscular, side chest in the middle. Up.
This one? Up. That one?
Up. That.
Oh, yeah. That's fucking crazy. Yeah.
Fucking hell, man.
Yeah. I quite like the garden updates myself.
Yeah.
Ones like
what his ones?
Yeah, just like raw in the garden. Yeah.
You didn't get the joke, it's fine.
No, I didn't get that shit. It's too late for jokes. Yeah, he's a big guy. Big fucking guy. He reminds me of who's remind me a bit of? Quinton. Is it Quinton?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Reminds me a bit like him. The only thing that I would probably say Quinton's better at him is just the lower half. But same sort of structure and flow with the I think his back's actually better than Quinton's at the moment. But
I will always go for shape.
Yeah. Yeah, he's
like shape over anything.
He's very excited. How much are you doing here on the Cybex? Is that 7 plates? Keith, what's the most you've done on that? 6?
Yes. Yeah, I think so. 6 or 6.5.
I mean, there must be a band on here, I think. Yeah, you can see on the other
There's
side there's a
green.
band.
Green.
There's a band there, I'm guessing. But no, that's still very still impressive. Nice. Yeah, he's a big guy, big guy. Right, we'll do, because I don't know how long we've been going for, but I think over an hour. We did, top three. Anyone got any top three bodybuilders at the moment they really like?
Just think there's too many IFBB Pro cards being given out at the moment for me to pick any fucking.
Yeah, I agree on that actually.
We're going to touch upon what we all think about the whole naturals getting a pro card.
Stupid.
I really don't get it.
I just think it diminishes everything. I was looking at it and I like my end goals to become an IFBB Pro and a very top league IFBB Pro, and to see natural athletes that can't place high in natural competitions but are being given an IFBB Pro card.
Like this isn't like taking away or atting the people that did it. I don't care.
No,
but it's just the principle behind it. Like if I was to go and compete and manage to get one next year, for example, you know, me putting that straight in my bio on Instagram puts me at a level pegging with the best in the world, you know, in terms of like IFBB Pro status. And I really don't. I think, like you said, Keith, it's taken away the credibility massively, I think. But
definitely.
And like, is it going to be something that's carried on year after year? Because like, if it's not, then the people that gained it through that, are they going to just be left with one?
I mean, realistically, they're not going to be competitive.
What are they going to do? Unless the IFBB start having natural shows.
Yeah. They did have one. I think one natural pro qualifier
in Canada.
Yeah.
And then one. Well, the girl that. But wasn't it just a female show?
I don't know, because it was Dr. Sunny Andrews.
Sunny Andrews won class. I know that.
Won her wellness class, but I don't know. I can't remember if it was the pro divisions were untested and it was just the qualifier that was.
Because it was an Olympia qualification as well. So there's no way they're going to have a natural show that'll then get you to the Olympia. Hey, Khifee, you might be able to fast track it to Olympia in a year.
Yeah.
Fucking right.
Quality.
Yeah, that is true.
I just don't know.
Could literally play it. You could map it out in a way and weave your way in.
Fuck that, man.
Well, this is the same thing, I think, as if you rocked up to a pro qualifier and you got your pro card, but you knew you weren't ready yet, and you maybe got it because you were the best of a bad bunch. Would you accept it? I know I wouldn't.
I wouldn't.
The problem is I wouldn't want to, but then
you can't just stand there and say
if you
no.
can never win it again after that?
Yeah, well, that's it. Like, what I would do is I'd say, like, if I can win it once, you can win it again. I don't know what the sort of rules are, because I bet no one's done it, but it's one of them things, you know. Someone goes to
Jose Raymond turned it down about 7 times.
Did he?
Yeah, he turned it down loads. So you can't do it, and I fully get what you mean, because I've even thought about. I know it's a long way down the road for me, but I've even thought about that from my own perspective within the natural bodybuilding realm. Like, if I was to somehow snag a pro card at some point, I'm quite realistic in the fact that it's going to take me a few years before I'm even competitive on a pro stage. So that sees me not being able to compete for years on end. You know, so that kind of takes away the fun element of the sort of competition. Because once you turn pro, you're limited to just pro shows. And you're a very small fish in a big pond then, aren't you? So especially within the IFBB circuit, if you turn pro and you've managed to scrape into the pro league, what are you going to do then? Like, that might be the end of your career then, essentially.
Yeah, it's Yes, it's a tough one.
Don't
You'd
you also
literally just be
think
doing it to hang on your fridge and put it in your bio on Instagram. That's it.
Yeah. But don't you also think that, and this is when it comes down to like how much you actually love bodybuilding and you should do it for the love of it. But we could all see a physique, think that it is absolutely spot on shape, structure, condition, but the judges could literally one day just go, no, I prefer the other person. Like that's the reality of bodybuilding, isn't it? and that is mad. When you dedicate your whole life, it's not black and white. It's literally just who prefers what physique, which is crazy when you think about it.
Mm-hmm. Right, this one's going to be really quick because we've all got good backs in here, but you three have got good backs in here, that's for sure. How to build a good back? One tip from each of you, and then we'll round it up.
Deadlift.
Caitlin? So you can't say deadlift.
Yeah, can't say deadlift. So
Caitlin can say deadlift off of pads.
Yeah.
Deadlift off pads. Nah. So something that I actually think is important. If you want a good back, don't look at someone who's always had a good back. I could walk into a gym, fling some dumbbells around, not engage my lats at all, and they'd probably still grow. Look at someone who had a shit back and now has a good back, you know, rather than looking at someone that's always had a good body part. That would be my bit of advice. Look what they've done.
Because on that note, a lot of people, like, for example, especially these pro bodybuilders now that are the top of the game, you see, for example, let's say someone like Nick Walker, he does a lot of squeezy, pumpy 15, 20 rep stuff. Same with like Kai Green back in his sort of like backstage of his competitive years. He used to do that sort of stuff. But look back at what they were doing at 10 years ago. Go on YouTube and type in like
5 plate barbell rows.
Yeah, like go back at what they're doing to get to the point that they are now. And I promise you, their training is very different. Very, very different. They're not doing this pumpy, fluffy sort of. And I get why, because when you're at that level, it's a big risk. You're risking your whole career for a lift, which realistically is probably not going to make a difference to your physique that much. Probably looking at 1% at that point. So I get why a lot of the pros now do different styles of training, but certainly look back at what they were doing 10 years ago before their peak. And I promise you their training is completely different. And most of them are fucking going nuts on crazy weights that we can't do at the moment. Well, Khifee can do, but I can't do it. Jack.
Without going too like scientific into it, just learning how to train certain parts of the back. So learning to distinguish between like your upper back and your lats, and just how you can move differently to target certain areas. I think because quite often people are more developed. Like one person might be more developed in the upper back, and they lack in the lats, and it's because all of their movements when it comes to back training come through the upper back. So like learning how to sort of cue certain things over other areas. That's exactly, it's the same with like chest and shoulders. You know, there'll always be someone with really impressive shoulders and then like a shit chest. And it's because their shoulders take over all the movement. So it's just learning to sort of separate the two.
I agree on that.
Talking of good body parts, did you address this at the start? Caitlin Hill, your shoulders look wham.
Oh, thank you.
Did you not touch upon this before I came on? As soon as I logged
on,
George
did.
I did. That was the first thing I said. I was like, fucking hell, them shoulders.
I felt the need to do this. Like,
Kenny, she came on like this. She did rounded at the shoulder. Yeah,
like
that.
that.
I was like, fucking hell. No,
thank you. Impressive. Appreciate that.
My one would be just enjoy. Like, I think I've had a weaker back. Obviously, my back has improved. I think the biggest game changer that I've noticed is I actually enjoy training back now. I used to fucking hate it. I used to dread it. Like frat prep, I used to just go through the motions and like be very sluggish, very lazy with it. Now it's probably one of my it's definitely one of my favorite body parts to train, and just falling in love with sort of enjoying it. Do you guys have that at all? Like a weaker body parts, areas that you don't necessarily enjoy, or is it a case of?
Also, because it like I know this like early on in your training career, it's the sort of show muscles as well. So like back, because you can't see it, you don't really see it as an area of importance kind of thing. Like when you train it, unless you're like taking a selfie like I do behind all the time, you can't see it when it's full. Like, whereas if you train chest, you're like, oh yeah. So I think in the early stages, I think a lot of people like, and it's the same with hamstrings as well.
Yeah.
But I know what you mean, George, especially if you struggle to connect with a muscle, that can be very demotivating. So you don't quite put the same effort into it. But it's getting around that then and learning how to, because I think that's probably something you've done as well, which has changed your sort of like how much focus you put into your sessions and stuff, your enjoyment within sessions. Because you're probably not going to enjoy a session if you can't feel the muscle you're training. Whereas now I'm sure you probably connect with it quite well. So that's why you enjoy it a bit more.
On that note, do you feel like you need to connect with a muscle to actually build muscle? Like, for example, I mean, this one's a little bit 50-50, but I'll say like when I'm doing like a stiff leg or anything, like I don't feel anything like other than just feeling probably battered at the end. I don't feel like directly, oh my God, I feel this in my hamstrings, or I normally the next day I feel it in my upper back and erectors or whatnot. But when I'm doing a movement like that, for example, I don't necessarily feel anything at all.
I think that's exclusive to a hip hinge personally,
Mm.
because for everything else, I can't think of a reason why you wouldn't want, like, why you wouldn't want to be feeling it. Anything legs, even like a heavy compound, if you're accurate enough, you're gonna feel that all the way through. But I do know what you mean with like a stiff leg deadlift. Even when you look at your form, it's, you know, it's perfectly executed. Sometimes you just don't feel anything. It's just kind of like you're numb.
Mm.
And also with, yeah, I was to say, like, Khifee, do you feel like when you have a heavy pull, do you feel anything like in terms of, do you connect really well with a certain muscle while you do it, or is it more just like the movement itself?
I think it's really weird whenever it comes to things like deadlifts, especially once I get to a certain weight where I need to really, really like kind of just take myself away from like normality. I don't feel anything. I don't feel the weight. Like I just don't feel like my focus even goes up. My focus goes away from I'm doing this to build muscle. You know what I mean? It's I need to always take myself away to somewhere else, and then I'll do it. And then once the set's done and I know it's done, that's me. Like I'll then move back. But it's hard to say. Like I'll feel obviously throughout my warm-up sets, I'll feel everything that I need to feel. And once it gets heavier, I'll move to more so just feeling my full body, making it work. But then once it gets to my top sets, realistically, I never really take that into consideration. I just kind of do what I need to do and do what I enjoy to do, and over the course of time, it's paid off, and that's really it. But I think
you just go fucking numb.
Yeah, a lot of people do pull back from maybe adding more load because they think they need to feel what they have to, when the reality is, if they're executing it the way they need to be, then realistically, things are going to be okay. But then I think that's another reason why people feel they stall too quick on movements, because the second that their form breaks down a centimeter, that's it for them. Do you know what I mean?
I'm personally okay with form slipping a little bit at the end.
Don't let Morris hear you say that.
You know what? I think that's why I was really like on board with him taking over my training, because I think he knows that when you take a set all the way there intensity wise, sometimes like that last little portion, you are gonna have to get pretty like nasty with it. And I think that them nasty few reps, yeah, although mechanically they might not make, you know, sense on paper, anecdotally, if you look at the people that train like that, they've got that density. Like I can't describe it, but I just feel like that little bit of a slip in form allows you to, I don't know, reach that proximity to failure that gives you that density. And like you said with the stalling thing, I've run like deadlifts for like over a year straight, whereas I see people do like a hip hinge for 8 weeks and then swap it out for another one, and I'm like, why have you stopped?
How many hip hinges can you fucking do at the end of the day? They're all the same thing.
Yeah.
At some point, you know.
Yeah.
I get that. I'm gonna leave it there. I think that's probably an hour and a half or so. Maybe not for Jack, but for most of us here, it's been
Blame
an
Instagram.
hour and a half. No, I've actually enjoyed that. Really enjoyed that. Obviously, the more we do this sort of thing, I think the easier, the better it sort of gets. But I just want to say thank you for all you guys coming on. I really appreciate you taking a chunk out of your evening, especially when we need to sleep at some point soon. I appreciate you coming out and joining me on the podcast today. And at some point again, we'll have to do it 100% if you're down.
Yeah.
But yeah, as always, I'm probably going to upload this to my YouTube channel. I think it just makes sense as the audience is already there. So if you've got to this part, what can we comment down below? Fuck knows. Let's comment down, just phone. Just comment down below phone if you watch the whole thing. Yeah, we'll do this again. And yeah, if there's any comments or questions or anyone bullying anyone, fuck you. And yeah, we'll just leave it there. Lots of love, guys.
Look, I'm a London scammer. I see it, I want it, I click it. Nights in the bando, pirates whipping. Next day, man started clicking. No beer and waitress tipping. Bad B, come and take this dinking. Codeine, that's what I'm sipping. Money, that's what I'm missing. Look, I'm a London scammer. I see it, I want it, I click it. Nights in the bando, pirates whipping. Next day, man started clicking. No beer and waitress tipping. Bad